Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my new video. The top 5 things that every single support player needs to know. I am LowFit. I do educational content like these tip videos, like guides and opposition reports. I'm going to put a link for my Discord and Twitter in the description if you want to get a hold of me, or have a live chat if you have any questions for me. So yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. The #1 tip. And kind of something that I see a lot because I do a lot of OPGG reviews for my subscribers. They really complain about their teammates, and they complain about how they're unable to carry from the support role. But I am of the mindset that the support role is one of the easiest ways to carry the game. Because there are 4 people in the lane, you affect 4 people's early game, which is so huge in this current meta of quick games and ending games at around like 25 to 30 minutes being the norm. You really need to look at this laning phase not as just a time to farm in CS and just maybe proc your support item as much as possible. This is your time to deny CS from the enemy ADC. This is your time to get kills at the enemy ADC. This is your time to be as strong as the ADC at most points. At level 3, sometimes Nami can solo out ADCs. This is your time to shine. It is not a traditional time for people to carry, as a lot of champions usually carry in the late game or in the team fights or by ganking, like Lee Sin, for example. You need to look at the laning phase as your time to really perform at your highest level. Obviously, the other parts of the game are really important, but this is your biggest window for impact. So look to bully as much as possible in this laning phase. Look to cripple the enemy team as much as possible. And being in the bot lane, you have the unique situation where you're able to beat up on 2 people as opposed to 1 like in the other roles. So look to take advantage of this. In that kind of same vein, I really encourage people to play supports that can really shine in the laning phase and really dumpster enemy ADCs and set up your ADCs, creating a large discrepancy between the two and putting them in the best, absolute best situation possible. They can be all-in supports like Leona, like Blitzcrank. They can be strong mage supports that are going to carry the game at all points basically and do a shitload of damage in the laning phase. And they've also received a huge buff with support items costing more and only having 2 potions as opposed to 3. So mage supports are in a great spot right now. And then also you can look at enchanter supports that can be decent in the laning phase. Obviously not as much of an impact as mage AP supports, but you can have a large impact with constant harass. Don't do the cardinal sin of a passive support player that is just doing nothing during the laning phase and standing behind your ADC and just waiting to get engaged on. Be proactive. This is your time to shine. Carry the laning phase as a support player. And that will wrap up #1. Alright, and this is jump right into #2. Now I want to have this tip emphasize something that I really see as an issue in a lot of low elo gameplay, is people aren't playing towards the strengths of their champions. They're trying to engage on Janna. They're trying to be extremely tanky on Lulu. They're trying to frontline on things they aren't trying to frontline. They aren't roaming on champions like Pyke and Alistair and Rakan. So you really want to identify the types of supports you play and where their strengths are. So obviously something like Pyke is going to have tremendous roaming potential with large base damages and an execute and 2 forms of CC and a speed up. So he is really going to excel with pressuring your lane, into getting the minions under the tower, into roaming and affecting the mid and jungle roles. Really look to play towards that, because that's one of the ways you can just really unlock your potential even further in games and your ability to carry. If you are playing towards that, if you're playing something like Nami, you want to play towards a bit of a disengage and re-engage in an advantageous situation style, and making sure to protect your ADC with slows from your E, with stuns from your Q, with another CC effect from your R, and healing with your W. So look to play around that. If you have any questions about identifying your champion's strengths, you can comment down below if you want my input on it. I can't really go through every single champion right here on the video, just because it would make the video extremely long, but really see where, kind of take notes when you're playing the game. See where your champion really excels. Is it you're getting a lot of kills in the early game if you're something like Leona, where people don't respect your level 2 ignite all-in play? It just really comes down to a lot of game experience, so get a lot of games in and try and find where your champion shines. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. Alright, now let's just jump right into number 3. It's going to be a little bit about gank prevention. I'm going to give you some ward spots for both sides and some ideas on where you can place wards. First up, I really like being on the blue side for this because the wards can really spot out the enemy jungler quite easily with a ward that you just pop right over here, where you're able to see both of these, and then you're also able to see people that are moving around that road right there. And then also a further up ward is usually more effective because wards right here sometimes are too late because they are able to cut you off taking a diagonal route if you are too far pushed up. So I like placing them either farther up the river if I don't feel comfortable enough to come up to this bush, because I really like this bush placement because you're able to protect both your mid laner and your lane from this certain gank path if you already have a ward placed right there. So these are the two great places to place wards when you're on the blue side. And then also this will give your jungler a little bit of an idea with scuttle control and when it is being taken. For the red side, we just have the kind of the basic wards. This is a little bit easier. It's again, you can place a ward up in the river, either here or there, and then we have a ward right in there. So it's a little bit simpler on the red side, where you don't have to invade that far to get the gank, but on the blue side you are able to get a little bit of deeper vision easier, where you would have to go all the way. Look how far this is. On the red side you would have to do something like this. It could work with the champion with a lot of mobility, and then place a ward like maybe right here. This is a not that much checked bush, so this would probably be a great spot for the control ward, where you can check the jungler either trying to clear the red or the golems, and then just pop back over with the blast cone. So that will wrap it up. One other big thing on the blue side is a lot of the times, I would say about 90% of the time, the blast cone that spawns right here is used to gank you. It's not used for you to get away. So if you're a ranged champion, just pop a ward over it and destroy the blast cone so they don't get a quicker gank on you. And yeah, that will wrap up the gank prevention. Alright, and number 4, I want to talk a bit about builds, because this is going to be just you have access to so many different items that can enable you in so many different ways that you really need to refine your choice making in this certain area of League of Legends. So let's just break it down. I'm going to talk about a couple of support items that I think are going to be really effective in the current meta when you have a strong carry, whether this be a Kindred out of the jungle, or a ADC that you got pretty fed, or a strong bruiser. Zeke's is going to be extremely strong, Athene's is going to be extremely strong, and then Knight's Vow is going to be great. But what all of these do, they are single target force amplifiers. So when you have someone that is performing at a really high level, these are definitely a great pick because they're going to further enable them to carry the game. Second up, we have the AoE team fighting late game items that are going to help your team as a whole. So if you don't have one particular standout, these might be better because you are able to really just help everyone. You're not really focusing on one person. Obviously this might be a bit better for champions that are going to be in the front lines and going to be around the people that are taking a lot of damage. So these are going to be a little bit, these are just going to be really great tools for late game team fighting, so keep that in mind. And then also you have a little bit of catch potential items. So if you have a very catch heavy team, something like Elise out of the jungle, you have an Ashe ADC, you have like a Syndra in the mid lane, and you have an Ornn in the top lane. And then to really enable this pick style, Twin Shadows can really increase your pick potential chances. And then also Shirelia's Reverie, where you're giving everyone increased movement speed towards the target. Those two items can really amplify it. So really look at how your team is performing, how your certain carries are performing, what your certain team comp is, and you really shouldn't have the same build every single game. And then obviously if you have a lot of ADCs and if you have shields, Ardent Sensor is going to be a great pickup. but look to build on strengths of your team and cover up weaknesses. This is going to be a great part. This is going to be a good learning experience for you as you look into it further and further, because I know a lot of people just tend to build the same thing over and over again because that's what they're comfortable with. But try out different kinds of builds that you can amplify certain types of gameplay. Alright, so I saved this one for last because I think this is one of the biggest tips that I see the most people making this mistake on support, particularly in low elo. Now, this is going to be a certain circumstance, but it's going to happen quite frequently, and you're going to see it a lot, and you're going to know what to do when it happens. Now, when you lose lane and when you are far behind, they take the tower and you're just getting farm funneled deep into your lane. This is a situation where the ADC really needs to catch up with experience and gold, and this is the situation where you need to be looking to roam around the map and try and help out the lanes that are going to see more pressure, because their bot lane most likely is going to be looking to take other towers. Never force your ADC to be splitting experience with you deep in the lane when you are behind like this. This is just a terrible thing to be doing, and then also it's going to lead to big number disadvantages across the map. So whenever if you lose a tower, you lose lane, and there are minions stacked up right here, which they're going to tend to be after they push through them past the river, let your ADC solo farm. Give him a ward if right here or right here. If there are a lot of assassins, they're going to look to kill him in a solo fashion that have a lot of mobility. Those are going to be great spots to kind of find them. And then look to help out mid, because mid is most likely going to get sieged. And then also look for the lane swap top and help him in that situation. This is really going to help you kind of stem the bleeding. If you are just staying down there and splitting experience, and say you're relic shielding with your ADC down there during this time, you're just furthering enabling their snowball, because they see two people constantly on the map and they're like, hey, let's just go wherever we want. We're going to have a numbers advantage because we don't want to be in that bottom lane right now. There's absolutely no point to be in it unless we can get a hard push on it. Let's just attack the other 3 members around the map with our 5 champions. So really look to help as much as possible. This is when you're going to be having to do a little bit more defensive wards, because they're going to be looking to be a lot more aggressive. So you can ward a bush like that, a bush right here, and a bush right here, and really look to stunt the snowball. Try and burn it up before it just runs you over. And yeah, that's going to wrap up number 5. As always, with this kind of format, I can't cover everything, but I'm probably going to do a part 2 to all of these video format. Let me know how you guys like the video, if there was something I did that you didn't like, if you'd rather me talk over live gameplay as opposed to just going over these basic things in the practice tool. I could do something like that. Yeah, I'm always open to feedback and critique. If there's something you want to see, please let me know in the comments down below. If there's a 5 tips video that you really want to see, let me know. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And remember, you can check out my Discord in the description if you want to get a hold of me, or also you can just add me on the League of Legends client. I'm just LolFit. I don't have a space, and it is spelled the exact same way as my channel. And as always, guys, you take it easy.